Welcome back. An Oklahoma oil man thought he could help save the economy, but ended up having to fight to save his company. Greg Jarrett reports.
Meet Harold Hamm. He's the founder and CEO of Continental Resources, the 14th largest oil company in America. A child of Oklahoma sharecroppers, he went to work as a teenager in the oil fields there, first as a roughneck, then a wildcatter. About 10 years ago, he led the charge in opening up the vast Bakken oil and gas fields of the Northern Plains, using innovative extraction techniques such as hydraulic fracturing, better known as fracking.
This new technology would allow America to become energy independent.
It will. We've had estimates made by experts in our field now that we could add as much as 3 to 5 million barrels of new oil per day.
On July 18, 2011, Hamm was invited to the White House for a giving summit with other wealthy Americans such as Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, who, like Hamm, had pledged to give away at least half their fortunes to charity.
You had the opportunity to speak with President Obama.
I did.
What happened?
I wanted him to know for sure of the opportunity that we had, and we were creating a whole new renaissance of American oil and gas. And there's a lot of good things that come from that. Good middle-class jobs, for instance. National security, balance of trade.
And his reaction?
He didn't want to hear it, and he didn't hear it.
It says so much about President Obama's mindset, that discussion.
Louisiana Senator David Vitter is the ranking member of the Environment and Public Works Committee, which has jurisdiction over energy issues.
Hydraulic fracturing and the advent of cheap, reliable American natural gas has been an absolute economic boom for our country. That's exactly what President Obama and his allies want to shut down.
Hamm's encounter with the president was not the first time he'd been made aware of the administration's take on his industry.
It was kind of like how the Romans used to conquer little villages in the Mediterranean.
That's Al Armendariz, a regional EPA head handpicked by the White House, caught on tape in May of 2010 explaining, metaphorically, how he planned to deal with non-compliant oil and gas producers.
They'd go to a little Turkish town somewhere, they'd find the first 5 guys they saw, they'd crucify them.
Later that year, Hamm got a first-hand taste of this philosophy.
Armendariz. He appeared before the Oklahoma Independent Petroleum Association at a meeting, right? What happened?
He told the group straight on that I'm the new sheriff in town, that we're going to use everything in the book to come after you.
What was the reaction of the people there?
Shock, disbelief, shock and awe.
There have been abuses by federal agencies before, but the Obama EPA is unfortunately at the top of that bad list in terms of really using overtly threatening behavior.
Still, at least until his meeting with President Obama, Hamm had been hopeful he could change the mind of the administration. But while he couldn't get through to the president, 2 weeks after that White House summit, the Department of Justice got through to him. On August 2, 2011, they brought criminal charges against his company, Continental Resources. The crime? Killing a bird.
One bird.
One bird.
Hamm's company was charged with violating the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918 after a special agent of the Fish and Wildlife Service found this dead bird in a reserve pit used to collect the waste and mud from drilling.
One bird died allegedly because of your operation.
Yes.
And the Department of Justice is going to go after you criminally to prosecute.
Yes.
That prosecution by the Justice Department is another clear example of a political anti-oil and gas agenda on steroids.
The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service said the charge against Continental Resources had nothing to do with fracking, but only reflected the company's failure to take steps to protect birds. But to Hamm, the administration simply didn't like what he was doing, and they were using whatever means at their disposal to get at him. He decided to fight.
We probably should have just rolled over and paid, the fine and faced the music and been quicker and probably cheaper and all that instead of hiring attorneys and going through the case. But we chose to do that.
On January 17, 2012, Ham's strategy was vindicated. Judge Daniel Hovland of the U.S. District Court in North Dakota dismissed all charges against Ham's company. The judge noted that the Migratory Bird Treaty Act was not meant to criminalize anything that inadvertently killed birds. Otherwise, the government would have to criminalize driving cars, flying planes, putting windows in buildings, even owning a cat.
You think they're going after you?
I do. In fact, it's a little bit more than thinking that they're going after us, but it's an attempt to shut us down.
Do you worry about speaking so candidly with us?
I guess I should worry about that, but sometimes you have to do what's right.
When we come back, a woman who made it publicly known that she doesn't much like the way things are going in Washington gets caught up in a Kafka-esque world of endless government proceedings. And later we'll bring you up to date on Wayne Hage's fight to save the family ranch.